Hello everybody, this is Joseph Borbatti, and I'm bringing to you another video on my game Dungeon Flea. Now today's video is an instructional video. I'm going to cover the rules, all the components, how to play the game, and then in the end I'll just play through a few turns just so you can get an idea of how the game plays, get a feel of what you're supposed to do during your turn. But first, let's just talk about the game itself. So Dungeon Flea is a dungeon crawler deck builder, and it's primarily a card game. There's no dice. Everything is done through the cards, building up your deck, and you deal with encounters. The premise behind the game, the storyline, is basically you're an adventurer that you're traveling down in a dungeon, and you kind of come across some monsters, and you kind of overhear that they're planning on a huge battle against your village. And you hear this, and you're like, okay, I got to get out of this dungeon. Well, you're spotted, and they attack you. Well, during this attack, you fall and tumble down to this chasm and into a river. So you don't die, but you're pretty scratched up, and you are somewhere in the dungeon. And you need to get out, because you need to warn your village. So you have to escape the dungeon. You are going to flee the dungeon, hence Dungeon Flea. Now, how you're going to do that is your character, who has a set amount of health, and there are a number of different characters in the game. Some characters have ability cards that you can use during the game. We're going to play with the female fighter, but they have a set number of health, and that max will be this yellow number. And if you see on the other side, you have 1 through 8. So that you will track, and then this little player token will track which corridor you're traveling through to try and escape. Now the dungeon is consisted of 6 dungeons, 6 dungeon quarters, and they're filled with all kinds of encounters: monsters, traps, doors. And as you deal with these encounters and are working your way through each dungeon quarter, when you come to the end of a dungeon quarter, you'll either come to a dead end or you'll have a stairs up. Once you get past that 4th stairs up, you've won the game. So Dungeon Flea is not a amass victory points or get the highest victory points. This is a win or lose game. So the challenge is, can you get out of the dungeon? Can you win and warn your village of this impending battle? So each dungeon quarter, you can find different things. You have monsters, doors, and traps, but you can also find treasures. You can find empty quarters, give you a little chance to rest. But what you're trying to do is build up your deck to defeat those stronger monsters. And since we're going to be covering the easy mode and the rules for easy mode, primarily the setup is you have these weaker monsters at the top as you're traveling through each of these dungeon quarters. And as you're getting through those, the big boss, the Lich King, is sending out more and more of his minions, and they're getting stronger and stronger as you're getting closer to getting out. So it becomes a little bit tougher battle just to escape the dungeon. So what we need to do is we need to travel through these dungeon quarters, make our way through 4 of them, and escape the dungeon. 4, if you can get the right quarters and get those 4 stairs up, great. If you hit the dead ends, it's just going to prolong it and make it even that much harder to get up, because there's just a longer amount of time and more monsters you got to deal with. So let me go ahead and talk about the components. Again, Dungeon Flea is a card game. It's a deck builder. It's a fantasy dungeon crawler because you're going through a dungeon. You only have primarily 1 character that you're going to be dealing with, but multiple types of encounters. Each of these 6 decks, as you're going through them, you will either defeat or take damage from these encounters. Majority of the encounters will produce damage. There are 3 doors that will block you, but they won't cause damage. Total, there are 6 doors. There's 6 traps, 6 doors, and a multitude of monsters. So the way you would play the game is you'll set your player token and just choose a dungeon, and then you start moving through. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the types of cards as they show up. So this would be the start of a game. You're ready to play. So you would just flip over a card, and this is a monster encounter. So you can see that this type of card, when it just has the title of what the monster is, this isn't a playable card. This is a card that if you defeat it, it gets destroyed and taken out of the game. If it is a card that has, and I'll show you, something like this, this is a playable card. You can see that it has these icons. These are playable icons. Now, this is something that if you defeat, it'll go in your discard pile. So let's talk about those icons. You start off with a 10-card starter deck. And that starter deck has 5 swords and 5 shields. Here's your shields. Here's your swords. And you have 10 of these, and you will shuffle that up, and each turn or round you're going to deal yourself 5 cards. Now these cards, let's mix it up a little bit. These starter cards, right? These icons, these are what you're going to use to defeat the encounters. These swords and shields and the combination of those are what are used, in this case, to defeat the encounter. So when you see up here, 1 shield, 1 sword, what that means is to defeat this card, you would need 1 shield and 1 sword. Those are the playable cards that is used to defeat this. If you didn't have this, right, then you would take the damage in this green icon in the upper right corner. Whatever number is on there, that's how much damage you're going to take. So if we didn't defeat this card, we'd end up taking 1 point of damage, and we would mark that on our character card. But there's also a nice option that you have with your hand, where if I couldn't defeat this card, I can always use 2 shields to block a point of damage. So in this case, let's say I couldn't defeat this card, but I know I'm going to take 1 point of damage. Well, I'm able to block that 1 point of damage, and this would stay there. So this would end up being discarded, but I wouldn't take any damage. Now, if I had defeated this card, since it doesn't have any playable options, just the title, it gets placed over in the destroyed pile. And now I have the option, do I want to continue down this corridor, or do I want to try another one? So let's say we go here and we go, I'll try this one. So now we have a door. Now the way a door works is, a door stops you in your path unless you can defeat the door. So we look at this door card and we have 3 shields and 2 swords. It also has playable options. So if I can get past this door, I'm going to be able to play this and help it build up my deck. So I would deal myself 5 cards, right? And I would look on here and I'd go, all right, what do I have? I have 3 shields, 3 swords, 2 shields. Darn, I have the opposite of what I need. So what would happen is I don't take any damage because there's no green icon, but I didn't defeat it. Now, let's say there was a monster right here. If you can't defeat a door, all the monsters in all the quarters shift clockwise 1 space. Let's say I didn't defeat it again. This monster now moves to this quarter, and I have to deal with it now. I have to battle this before I can even get to the door. So let's say that happens. We go through, we deal 5 cards, and we just need 1 of 1. So we could play our sword and our shield, and we destroy this card. Now we're back to this door. Now I can decide, do I want to continue trying to defeat this door, right? Or do I want to move on to another quarter? If I decide to move, this door will stay here until I come back and defeat it. So let's say we move here. Now this is an empty quarter card. This allows me, if I was down in damage, this is an open empty quarter card which allows me to rest. I would get to rest and I'd be able to heal 1 point of damage. These 2 icons on the top means, since this is basically a filler card, it's a waste card in your build-up deck, you can, in your hand, and for example, if this was my hand, I could now play a sword and a shield and then destroy this card and get it out of my hand. You can actually do that with any card in your deck. If I had later on, let's say I had a bunch of shields and I didn't want them, right? I could play a sword and a shield and burn this card. I could burn any card I want just by playing one sword, one shield. And what that does, it allows you to refine your deck and get it down to the best and the strongest cards that you need, because you're going to need that when you get down to these much tougher monsters. So let's say we go to the next one. Now we have a treasure card. When you come across the treasure card, you immediately get to put it in your play area, and it can be played right away. This being a healing card, it allows me to heal 6 points damage. So I can use that at any time. I could be in the middle, for example. I could be at 2 and have this here and know that I'm going to take damage that's going to kill me. Well, I could use my card, raise my 6, then take the damage from that monster and give that little last act of trying to survive before I take that ultimate damage. Let's see what we got here. So this is a simple level 1 monster. Again, you just need a sword and a shield. You play that, and you discard the card. Now, here's a little different icon. This icon right here, when you see it, instead of having a specific number of swords and shields, this allows you to play any combination of swords and shields as long as you play 4. So I could play 3 swords, 1 shield, 2 shields, 2 swords, any combination of 4 to defeat this card. And since it has playable options, this would go in my hand. Alright, again, this one, just as a title, if I defeat it, it can only be destroyed. When you don't defeat a monster, it will stay here until you come back or decide to defeat it. So we go here. Same thing, we have this icon with multiples. Now, traps are different. Traps are special. A trap, although it has a specific count of shields and swords that you must use to defeat it, if you don't defeat this on the very first time, this card is destroyed. You take the damage from the trap, and it goes in the destroyed pile. The only time you're going to be able to get this is if you defeat this card on the very first time. So remember, traps are one shot, or they're destroyed. Doors will stay in the field as long as you haven't defeated it. And every time you don't defeat this, if you try and take it on and you don't open the door or get past it, every monster, so for example, if we had these monsters, and I was here, and I tried to defeat this door and didn't, all of these guys are going to shift. And now I have to play and defeat this monster. So let's say we get that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 4. There we go. I got my 4 of any combination. It says defeat it, goes in my discard. Now I can decide, do I want to stick with this door? So as you're working your way through the dungeons and you're building up your deck, you're slowly making your deck stronger and stronger, you're going to get to stronger monsters. And let's say we are now down to here, right? And there's the big boss. You may or may not encounter the big boss, because since there are 4 dungeon quarters that have stairs up, if you pick the right ones, if this happens to be in a dead end, which it is, if you picked 4 of the quarters before and never went down this one, you might escape the dungeon and never have to deal with the Lich King, the big boss. But if you do, he's one of the toughest in the game. But let's say you beat him. You flip over the bottom card. This will either be a stairs up or a dead end. If you hit a dead end, you'll have to go to another quarter and then just keep working your way. If you get down to it and it's a stairs up, well, then you've hit one of the 4 that you've got through, and now you only need 3 more to get out of the dungeon. Once you've gotten past that 4th one, you're here, and then you're down to your last one, right? So we're here, we're dealing with this one big guy, right? And let's say you've got some stronger monsters. On this one, you need 11, a combination of 11. Now, just to give you an idea of some of the cards, you might have one like that. And let's see, we've got one like that, another one, this one, and this one. So now let's say this is your hand, right? You turn it over, this is what you drew. You got, I got 11. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just made it, right? I count up all my icons. I need to defeat this guy. Now, I don't know it yet because I'm not sure what this is, but it goes in my hand, right? These are discarded. I flip it over. 1, 2, 3, 4. I made it out of the dungeon. I successfully escaped the dungeon and I was able to get back to my village and warn my village. Now, the victory conditions for the game, as I said, is get out of the dungeon by getting through 4 stairs up cards at the bottom of each one of the dungeon quarters. There will be 2 dead ends, 4 stairs up. As long as you get past that 4th stairs up, you win the game. To losing conditions is if you ever drop below 1 and you can't use potion to heal yourself, you lose the game. Anytime you go below 1 and you can't restore the health, the game is over. So be careful on the cards that you're playing against. Since we're in the easy mode, you can take your time working these weaker monsters and then get down to the bottom. Once you've learned to play the game, there's a nice option of going to the difficult mode, which kind of has a little bit more randomness with the 1 through 4 level monsters and then the 5+ monsters. So it gives you that challenge of your first card turnover could be a 4th level monster. Now, let me just show you, I want to give you an idea of some of the bonus cards that can help you out as you get deeper in the dungeon. So you have some of these little more powerful cards and more powerful treasures. So just here's some of them. So here you might have one that says draw 2 cards from your deck and place them in your hand. You play this card, draw 2 cards, put them right in your hand. That's kind of a nice little feature. This Ring of Illusion. This one's nice because if you have this, turn this card and then deal yourself 7 cards for your hand instead of 5. But you need to reset it. You need to play 2 sword cards. And then just like these, you'll see this has multiple icons that you can play. Multiple swords and shields. Draw 3 cards from your deck. Place them in your hand. Very powerful. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. That can be played during the middle. Or draw 3 cards from your deck. Place 2 in your hand and discard the 3rd. So you have these much more powerful playable cards, but you're not going to find those until you get to the bottom, near the bottom of each of these dungeon quarters where you get to the stronger monsters. So that's how you play Dungeon Flea. These are some of the cards, but again, all the cards that you deal with in the dungeon are encounter cards, and those encounter cards that will give you damage could be traps, doors, or primarily monsters. So it's you deciding which quarters you want to travel through, how you want to deal with each encounter, how do you want to deal with traps and doors when they come across them, and when you get those cards in your hand, how do you want to play those combinations to really work out for those stronger monsters. Now what I'll do is next I'm gonna go through a few turns, play an easy mode game, and then you'll get an idea of the feel of actually playing a game. Okay, so let's go ahead and since I've gone through all the rules, I'm going to go through a few rounds of playing the easy mode, just so you can get an idea of how the playthrough would work. So we have our setup. This is the setup for the easy mode, and got our 6 quarters. We've got our starter deck, and now we just need to pick the quarter that we want to start in. So again, you can start at any of the 6. So I'll just pick one. We'll start here. Turn this card over. And remember, since this is the easy mode, we're going to have weaker monsters on the top, and then it'll progressively get harder as we go along. But since you've seen the rules, you'll kind of get an idea of how these are playing through for this playthrough. So I've shuffled it up. I deal out my 5 cards. And we take on this first encounter, which is a monster. I need 1 shield and 1 sword. I have that. So we go ahead and play that, put that in there. And since we beat it, we don't take the damage, but there's no playable icons or text, so this is just a destroyed card. And there's nothing else we can do with these, so go ahead and discount or discard. Now, I have the choice. I can continue with this quarter, dungeon quarter. Now it's kind of in the easy mode. You can just kind of keep working your way around. If this was the hard mode or difficult mode, you would have to stay in that until you got to a monster you couldn't defeat. So the way we're doing it for the easy mode, the rules for the easy mode is you work your way down a quarter. I can decide once I defeat that monster, I can move to an adjacent quarter, but I'll just go ahead and stay in this one. Now I deal myself 5 more cards. Alright. Again, easier monster, so I just need 1 shield, 1 sword. I have that. I'll discard that. And this again is a destroyed. And don't have anything I can use with those. Now I'm going to change and go over here. We'll flip this over. Alright. Now I'm going to need to reshuffle my draw deck. And then always 5 cards. Now this one's different. I need 2 shields, 2 swords. Now I do have that. So there's our 2 swords, 2 shields. We play that and we defeat this, so we don't take damage, but it's a playable card. You see down here, discard a hand and redraw cards. So this immediately goes into our discard pile. Can't use this, so we discard it. I think I'll stay in here. Got 5 more cards. It's an easy one. Just need 1 shield and 2 swords. So we can play that. Again, just text or title of the monster, so it's destroyed. And now, if we had taken damage, we could use those 2 shields to block 1 point of damage. So let's go ahead and we'll move here. Alright, so now this icon, remember, this means I can use any combination of swords and shields, but I just need 3 of them. So it could be 1 sword, 2 shields, 2 swords, 1 shield, that kind of deal. So we've got 1 card that we just built into our deck. Draw 5 cards. Alright, so now I could use that if I wanted, but I've got my 3. I'll just use 3 swords. And again, destroyed. And then these. Now you can't, once you've dealt with the encounter, you can't use this card to deal more hands. It's, you could, but this is for initially playing against the counter. You've already defeated the counter, so you just discard that. Now this card, this is an empty quarter card, so we can't gain any hit points because you would get to rest and get 1, but it becomes a filler card or a waste card. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what we got. So this one now, I need 2 shields, 2 swords. Don't have it. I have 4 shields. So this is what's going to happen. I have to take the damage, but what's nice is, since I have 4 shields, this will block one, and this will block the second one. And it stays there, but I don't take any damage. Can't do anything with this, so we discard it. Now I have the choice. I can stay and try and continue to defeat this, battle this monster, or move to another quarter. Just remember, when you move to another quarter and there's a monster still there, if you ever have a door that you're dealing with and you don't defeat the door, these monsters, any of these monsters or a monster in a quarter, will start to shift clockwise to where that door is. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and try and defeat it again. Need to shuffle. 2, 3, 4. All right, let's see if we got it this time. Ah, this stupid card. So I don't have it because I only have 2 swords and 2 shields, and I need 3. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to take damage. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the damage because I want to burn this card. So I'll take the 2 damage. All right. I will use these, a sword and a shield, to destroy this card. And then these are just burned. I think I'm going to move somewhere else. All right, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 2 swords for this giant rat and 2 shields. So I have that. So we will play that. And now it's a playable card. It's got 2 shields. So it goes in my discard, and we'll burn this. And we'll continue on down. 2 cards. Go ahead, shuffle. Again, now I've got 2 new cards in my deck. And remember, you can use a sword and a shield from your hand to discard or to destroy any card you want. So when you start playing a little longer and you get deep in the dungeon, these cards become a hindrance because there's just one, and you're getting much more powerful cards that have like 2 shields and a sword, 2 swords and a shield, just combinations. So you may use something like this, use these 2, and destroy one of these cards because they become fillers. You want to get to those more powerful cards. You're really trying to hone down your deck. So we need 3 swords and 2 shields. Well, we have 3 swords, but we only have 1 shield. But here's the nice thing. Discard hand, redraw 5 cards. So, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Don't take any damage because I'm still playing against that character or that encounter. But maybe we'll get it this time. So, we missed it. We have, our giant rat came in, so we have 2 shields. That's 4 shields and 2 swords. So, but I need 3. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take damage, but I'm going to block one of them with this, and then the other one with these 2. So, I won't take any damage, but now, let's go here. 2 cards, shuffle up. 2, 3. All right, let's see what we got. So I need 2 and 2. Don't have it. I got 3 shields, 1 sword. But discard hand, draw 5 cards. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 and 2. Yes. So we have 2 here and 2 here. 2 shields, 2 swords. And we get another playable card. Goes in our discard. All right. And we can't destroy anything. Nothing to destroy, so we'll discard that. Let's move here. All right. Now, this empty quarter, I can use this to restore a hit, point of hit. We'll go to the next one. All right. 2 cards. 3. Let's see what we got. Now this one's easier. We just need 2 shields, 1 sword. Got that. Destroy him. Nothing else playable. Yes, now we got a treasure card. Now, treasure cards, once you get them, they immediately go into your play area. And they are usable immediately. So if I needed to, I can restore. I can subtract 6 points and restore 6 health. So 6 points of damage. So we will go here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think you're kind of getting the idea. So you just need any two. And you want to kind of think about it because there might be something you want to burn on here. So since we only need 3, we could go, all right, so there's our 3. 1 sword, 2 shields, all right? And it's a playable card. Now, I might want to burn this, you know, or, we'll keep it right now. We're still kind of low, all right? Do another one. Yes, another treasure. All right, and I'll keep continuing down. Okay, now a door. This is perfect. So now with the door, you have to deal with the door just like any encounter, all right? 5 cards. So here's the thing. If I defeat the door, this one will go on my discard. If I don't, it stays there, and since I didn't defeat it, all these monsters are going to shift. So let's pretend like, all right, can I do it? I need 3 shields and 2 swords. Now, I have it, because here's my 2 and my 3, right? But let's say I'm going to do this. I want to burn this. So I'm going to use this and this to burn this. And now it's like, oh man, I don't have it, right? And I might go, you know what? I'm going to use this because it's a sword and a shield. I'm going to burn this just to get that in my hand. But I don't take any damage. But here's what happens. I didn't get past this door. So this guy is going to move here. This guy will move here. And I have to decide, do I want to try and get through this door again, or do I want to move? Let's say we try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I need 2 shields. 3. Now I have it. 1, 2, 3 shields. Okay. So I play that. And since it's playable, I get it. Now I can continue on with this quarter. Otherwise, I couldn't get past it. But I think you get an idea of this, you know, the way the process is. On the easy mode, you can slowly work your way around. You know, you can go through all the lesser, you know, weaker monsters until you get down to the lower ones. You're slowly going to build up your deck and deal with each one. Now remember, I didn't get to a trap, but if I had a trap, you get 1 shot to defeat a trap. If you don't get it, it immediately goes to the destroyed. And all traps have playable options, so you really want to defeat those traps. So that's kind of the little bit of a playthrough, just kind of an idea of how that process is of playing a game for Dungeon Flea. I really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I always have new videos coming up. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit the like button. And as always, hit the bell so it gives you notifications when I'm coming up with new videos. But just want to say this is my instructional video on my game Dungeon Flea, and this covered the easy mode of Dungeon Flea. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.